both platforms online, and Dip will take it home.
What a game.
Take a victory lap, take a bow, and take the headsets off and start to yell.
Welcome on in, everybody. We're dropping into the Contenders Playoffs of ECAC. My name is Pyro J. I'm over here with Relic, and we're ready to get it underway with our first round matchup of UCM White and the Fanshawe Fuel. Relic, the regular season is over. The shenanigans, they're done. It's time to put up or shut up.
It most certainly is. Shenanigans in chat are popping off, by the way. The banter between these two teams, it's very amicable, a little bit spicy in places, but the spice in the regular season was there for everyone to see, despite these two teams being in the same group, and despite, honestly, not too much difference in terms of that win-loss ratio either. When it came to these two playing each other directly, there was a very clear victor. UCM White running out 4-0 victors, and it's not hard to see why. They're the only team, or I should say they're the only team in this particular matchup with a Supersonic legend on their side, you know, flanked by Grand Champs as well. On paper, and in the results historically, they've simply been better.
Simply been better. A couple 1-point games, right? So they were just a margin better on that recent matchup that they had together in that 4-0 sweeping win. So there is reason to believe that there could be an upset in store potentially for Fanshawe Fuel. You mentioned the SSL and UCM White. Not just an SSL, but a name of Big Wheel. How do you deny, Relic, someone named Big Wheel? Okay, we got a big game ready for you all, and we are underway. Best of 7 is on. UCM and Fanshawe take the field.
It's difficult to deny anybody, really. We can't deny Frostagonington either. We sign up as Frosky, decides to come in with a brand new name. There's also not Nexi. We believe that we pronounce it. Anyway, we'll put the disclaimer out the way. If we pronounce your name wrong, we apologize. We just want to see good Rocket League. UCM White in the blue. Fanshawe Fuel, though, on the attack here. Never mind me. Sorry, rotating round into the back line. Now into the attack. Wonderful transition play. Wisey slides, sliding in with the opener.
Yeah, do you get any quicker than that? I don't know. Counter attack, and if you blink, you'll miss it. Wisey slides, picks up the booming pass from Nexi.
So, what about that 4-0 in regular season, eh? It's playoffs,
my
baby.
Notebook, Relic. I'm ready to start new.
Throw it into the shredder. But look, this is the playoffs. It's a completely different playing field. You know that you got to play under pressure, and certainly one thing that we do have to commend this Fanshawe side for, Pyro, is the fact that they were as defensively solid as they were in that 4-0 loss. They were keeping all of those games relatively close, so now that they got this go-ahead goal, let's see what they can do for the next 4 minutes or so.
That's what we got to see here, and you know what? They're guarding this half-court line really well. They try and steal that possession and say, yeah, we have reason to be dominant as a team here. Frostagonington not going to necessarily allow the quickest and most easy path to the net there. The defense is really shaping up here in a way that I like from UCM. They're struggling to get some offense working just so easily as well. Frostagonington, an air dribble that begins a pre-jump denial, though, quickly from Fanshawe.
Gotta love those decal mentality games as well, with the orange car on the blue team. You might think with the big old tag above the car that it's actually a lot harder to miss, but trust me, especially when we're running up the rate of knots, ooh, it can get a little bit frosty, and that was certainly a bit of frost, a bit of ice in the veins for Fanshawe Fuel as they try to break away now, but they aren't able to get too far.
Far enough. Big wheel, big moment here. Post hit and no read was right there on both occasions, but just that margin difference was going to be the true difference maker there, as UCM still in pursuit of that first goal. Counterattacks have been plentiful, though, for Fanshawe as they try to work on this transition. Ball comes off the ceiling. Big wheel in search of Knowledge, but finds the lap of Wisey slides instead. Even-handed, these teams continue to be, but a give and go could really stretch the defense thin of UCM. Big Wheel still recovers.
Next he just didn't hit that quite right, didn't quite catch it right down the other end. Now does need a little bit of marshalling here. Sustain does pretty well. UCM, as you rightly point out, Pyro, with the majority of chances, but has that one trick already expired from Fanshawe Fuel. They caught out UCM big time early on in this game, but we do need to see a little bit more, and that was it. That was the moment to score number 2. Maybe another chance, but Frostagonington is up, completely whips it, and another shot goes a begging for Fanshawe Fuel.
We needed the shooting packs before this game. Couple shots on either side, just not hitting their mark, and that includes the well-touted player Big Wheel from earlier. So who's going to be more disciplined in this game number 1, where players still shaking off the nerves? Could it be a pass from Frostagonington? It won't be. Big Wheel does steal boost, but struggles as they're bumped off the play. Allen fills in here, does have a passing option, decides to opt for the bump instead, but still Sustain gets the save. Can they sustain a defense? They can. Another block comes in.
A 1-0 win is still a 1-0 win, Pyro, but looking less and less likely that this is going to be the final scoreline. UCM have been ramping up slowly but surely throughout the entire 5-minute period, but the good news for the Fanshawe Fuel is that we are only 1 minute away from said game's end. They've got to be proactive in getting to the midfield line, though, otherwise that rampant pressure will eventually see a breakthrough.
Oh, it's enough pressure to maybe break the ice here. Still, though, it remains solid. No cracks big enough to, totally unwind them. That one I thought would be it. This is less thriving and more surviving here for Fanshawe. They've got 40 seconds more to do it. They're going to earn some time here on this possession pass there as well. But Nexio, that's too wide.
You know, the greatest irony of this entire game is that Fanshawe Fuel could quite rightly, on merit, be 4-0 up. To be fair, UCM, they've missed some sitters as well. A game of missed chances. So who is going to miss the most? That's one of the most difficult shots. At least it was on target, but it was saved by UCM. And now right down the other side, going for the dagger. And the dagger's exactly what they've got.
Big Wheel with the big moment. Oh, from the logo, pops up and gets that crucial second touch on the aerial, puts it past the defense, and we've got ones all across the scoreboard in dire times, back against the wall. Who proceeds? Is it Sustain off the kickoff to dump it to YZ Slides? Not quite. Big Wheel following this as we close into a potential OT, and we will get there, but only by a hair.
Oh, very scary for the Fanshawe Fuel. Again, they've got to take heart in the performance at the very least. For 95% of the field, you have to say that they're looking pretty comfortable. They've just got to find that final application yet again to score goal number 2. Down here now, we've got Froster Gonington. Looks to corral this and bring it back into the middle, but he's snuffed by Nexi. We've got Nolid now, who gives it up quite cheaply. Good setup opportunity. Big Wheel completely whiffs. Oh my goodness, it's off the post again.
What? Oh, the post doing extra work, extra reps, a whole full body workout here for each team on either side. I can't believe it. No one can get it between the uprights here. And Fanshawe, they need to not panic here. That is 3 players all on the ball at one time. Sustain still provides time to recoup that defense, but it's getting even hairier. That's Frosted Goddington with an open look. It's too high. Frosted Goddington with a second approach cannot defeat Sustain to the ball. Big Wheel still to collect.
And Big Wheel's been pretty quiet, to be honest, for the big supersonic legend in the lobby. They haven't exactly popped off like we'd expect, of course, getting that crucial goal, but it was hardly a fanciful effort. We now got Frosted Gonington, beats 2, spikes up, and Knowledge wins the race, but is not able to get enough of it to push through onto a shot on net. And Big Wheel now from his own half, he's pickpocketed. Knowledge, lovely spike up, but a big bump. Big Wheel's trying to recycle. Froster Gonington over the top. Oh, you don't ever want to leave the field with regret. But Fanshawe Fuel Pyro, they leave with a big old dish of regretty spaghetti.
Oh, and it's all over the place. It's messy. 2 defenders guarding the net, but neither could deny the shot from Frosted Gonington. Dumped by Big Wheel. That was the pass at the half-court line that set them up for success. And I know you mentioned it, Relic. Big Wheel maybe wasn't doing the most, but did have that 1 goal, did have 8 shots of their then 11 total. But that time, it was just the 1 single shot that Frosty Goddington took in that game. It was the only one that they needed an OT to get that first win.
Yeah, Big Wheel's shots more often than not were savable efforts. It's why we see the 10 saves between Sustain and my apologies, between Sustain and YZ Slides there on the back. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I was looking to read the both stats. Looks like the stats haven't fully been able to go through. But basically, I'm pretty sure they did rack up about 8 to 10 saves overall. And yeah, the majority of them do come through one person. And when you're expecting those shots to come from one person, your man Mark, you understand that you've got to be full ears and alert. But I also think that the shot counter from Fanshawe Fuel isn't as high as it should have been. How many shot opportunities should have been on net? And how many of those shot opportunities would have met an open net, Pyro? Too many. Fanshawe should be leading this series. They are not.
And what's even crazier is that 1 goal that they scored was just about it. If it hadn't been for that late goal knocking on the door very early, though, in game number 2 is UCM keen to keep that momentum.
And that's exactly what they're going to keep. Lovely pick here from Knowledge. Has the time, but not too much time. And so you've got to generate enough power, slip it in underneath the crossbar. That's exactly the sort of start that UCM White would have been hoping for. Disaster for Fanshawe Fuel. I mean, let's consider it in this sort of term, Pyro. They now haven't scored in over 5 minutes of play. again, I don't want to keep on harping on, but it's all down to them and their shooting accuracy, and they've got to fix that on the fly.
I feel like before you fix that, you got to make saves like this. Big one there from Nexi as Big Wheel tries to dunk it straight between the post and under the crossbar. Nexi searching for an escape and is going to get a second effort at it. Huge clear to dominate here for Fanshawe as they get their first look at the net. But that is 2 whiffs on the ball, followed up by Big Wheel. Here's the aerial play, flip, reset down, pass 1, but not past Sustain. They've got that second layer of defense to get away from Big Wheel, and they've got the third in the form of Nexi.
Yeah, you can't blame Nolly too much for that. Ball's coming at him fast, got to try and redirect. Just has a little bit too much mustard on it, but starting to see a lot more influence from a mechanical perspective from Big Wheel, and that is going to scare the living daylights out of Fanshawe Fuel, because if they have more and more of these misses in the midfield when they could capitalize and go on a charge themselves, it's going to lead to more and more goals conceded.
It will. Will allow, though, for that chance for the counterattack. Remember this? It's the only way the Fanshawe did score in that game number 1, and they can certainly take UCM off guard on transition if they get that opportunity once again. Nexi. It's a quick attack on the other side. It's a bump
Lovely
on the
bump.
defense.
Oh.
But yeah, YZ slides. You gotta ask for more on an opportunity like that. Sustain back to the backboard.
High pressure, but the pressure cooks. And right now it's UCM White who are cooking, albeit with limited ingredients, as Fanshawe Fuel continue to remain relevant. Still only a 1-goal lead as we head into the final 3 minutes of game number 2. And a reminder, if you are just joining us, it is best of 7 as Fanshawe Fuel man the battlements yet again. Lovely touch here from Nexi. Oh, and that's just pure unfortunateness, I guess you could call it. Or maybe it should have been on target. No, we're not going to be that critical.
I'm going to take it to the board of Rocket League to earn a point on the scoreboard if you hit the post maybe 10 times. And Fanshawe, you're about 2 away from getting that point on the scoreboard. It is absurd how much woodwork we're in contact with on this ball. But Big Wheel is in search for just more than that. Pinch on the backboard doesn't necessarily translate a pass. In fact, it might just set up the counter here for Fanshawe. It's a mid-boost steal there from Big Wheel, and it's a take from Nexi. It reaches the corner. Boost grab and an aerial here for Nolid as they search for that midfield pass. Finds its way to Big Wheel. YZ slides already up for this and does beat Frostigonington to the ball. So you've got 2 teams trying to dominate that midfield, and Big Wheel, well, he's got another tactic to do just that.
A really nice power play there, just relieves the pressure immediately, allows his 2 teammates to step up. Gorgeous connection. Frostigonington decides to recycle back into the midfield, but look at this Fanshawe press. That's a lot better. If it wasn't for Big Wheel there, the shot doesn't go wide, most certainly on target. Miss here, however. Nexi needs to get this, does get this. Steal of the 100 on the back line, but Nexi going all the way, and again, it's the woodwork that denies.
I still like that play, though. There was a defender in position to get the save. This time, not so much. Sustain with an absolutely magnificent read here for the dunk and the goal.
When it rains, it pours, but sometimes you've got to buy that umbrella and shelter yourself, and Fanshawe Fuel have brushed off the criticism here. As I say, that press that we saw just a couple of moments earlier, still in effect, and UCM had to be a little bit more careful with their ejection plans from the blue side of the field. Beautiful punish, ties the game up at a good time as well. 70 seconds and change left in pocket.
Yeah, a lot more reasonable for either team to not take it to overtime this time around. We hear that final minute. Sustain has been pretty class on defense as well. Wisely slides to fill in and maybe cut that rotation. Now Nexi a bit out of position, tries to get the touch, can't quite do it. Does bump one of the shot takers, but Frostigonington's still there. They love that physicality near the shot chance. And the question is, has it done enough for Fanshawe to turn it around? Almost, but Frost beats him to the touch.
Nexi watching brief. 100. Little doink. And a demo. And ultimately ends up in everybody's land once again. Everyone wants a piece of this pie, but who's going to have the sweetest slice? Frostigonington watching brief again as Nolid goes in for the challenge. Here is Frostigonington. That's going to spike right back into the middle. But here's Big Wheel. Tries to go mechanical, gets challenged. Neutral. And Nexi waits, given the time. Oh, Big Wheel tries to wrap around here. Under pressure now, Fanshawe Fuel. Looks like UCM, the most likely to go ahead and win this. Backboard, Nexi, very loose. Well cleared. Overtime for the second consecutive game.
Ooh, I can imagine half the time they're looking at the ball, half the time they're looking at the clock. Like, please, get us to OT, get us there. Get right past the finish line, but they're not finished quite yet. We're now in OT, golden goal situation where UCM won it in game number 1. They're on the prowl to do it once again. Unless it's up to Sustain. Again and again gets in front of these challenges and denies the initial effort of UCM. But is that backline secure for a pass like this? Knowledge able to get the cut. The big wheel still not able to bully his way through every bump.
If you're going to miss the ball, you might as well hit the player, and on that defensive drive, that's exactly what happened. But my goodness, Pyro, I'm getting deja vu. Another overtime, another 2-1 winner, another UCM winner.
It's Frost to Goddington, once again on 0 shots all game. Posts the jump shot from the elbow. 1 shot, 1 goal, about as clutch as you can get.
This was, and I don't mean this in a harsh way. This was a game lacking in quality, a very scrappy game, a game where honestly it could have swung either way. And that first goal, that opening goal, that kickoff goal for UCM White, for me, makes that difference. Otherwise, Fanshawe Fuel, they do eventually score in regulation time, but they just don't have the energy. They don't have the reserves to seemingly take it to UCM White once we hit that out of regulation time.
Yet at the same time, they go toe-to-toe, right? Like, I feel like the first game we saw all those misfired shots, and you can kind of chalk it to nerves, you could kind of chalk it to playoffs all league long, Relic. You could lose a game, you're still in it, though. You're still all right. Now we're in playoffs, it's single elimination. You lose, you are out. The stakes could not be higher during this season, and I think we can see that in the character and the ability of these players. But what we do know is that we're starting to fine-tune some of those areas. And some of the shots that were missed, it's because the defender is in the way and they kind of have to position it just to beat that opponent. So I think as we develop this series, the shots are going to get better. The quality will improve. And for Fanshawe, it needs to improve just a mark higher to get a win on the board.
Most certainly, Fanshawe Fuel cannot lose hope at this stage. They are very much still a part of the conversation. Many more arguments to debate off the line. Oh my goodness. That is the sort of calm and collectiveness that I like to see from Fanshawe Fuel. Terrifying situation, still not over as Knowledge goes for the undecided pass into the backboard. But again, Fanshawe Fuel doing very well.
And we can't help but note that's improvement because that initial goal, the only goal in regulation from UCM, as you mentioned, was so early on. It might be early on again. Big wheel pass. Oh, they better be happy they've got Frost and Goddington to finish that one because they needed a second layer ready.
Watch the miss of the round. The miss of the round. Knowledge is going to be delighted that this power play from UCM allowed all 3 players to be able to contribute should need be. If Frost Goddington misses, oh my goodness, what a counter opportunity for Fanshawe Fuel. But the pressure does pay off yet again. UCM White find that go-ahead goal to find the second. For me, that might be a killing blow to Fanshawe Fuel, although they're right down the other side, but not in time enough for Big Wheel to make the save.
It shouldn't be a surprise to see that the counterattack is so close here for Fanshawe. It should have been a red flag for UCM to see all of them on their opponent's goal line, but sometimes you only need 1 player to be targeting the goal line. It's Big Wheel to be 2 on the 50, and then a flick for the cherry on top.
Lovely 1v1. It is a 2v1, isn't it? But still, nice 1v1 glimpses, let's say, from Big Wheel, but a real egregious error from Nexi, and Wisey slides there. Double commit on that initial challenge. Completely removes those 2 out the play. Demo now down the other side as Fanshawe Fuel have to do something that they have not done in any of the games thus far. That's score 2 goals.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask for at this point. With these teams go toe-to-toe and all the pressure building right now for UCM. No read on the backboard there, though. So this might spark something. Sustain off the immediate flick, and then plays us to the ground, trying to outplay Nolan. Does get it past them, goes for the bump on Big Wheel. It's enough disruption to get him out of the play, but there's the shot that is just delayed. Had it been a mark sooner, Fanshawe on the scoreboard.
Best individual moment from a player on Fanshawe Fuel. Just a shame that none of his teammates had the confidence that he was going to be able to do that. Oh! They have got a contract with the woodwork, and I am convinced that it is sentient. Maybe Sustain. Oh, what a beautifully weighted shot here. I'm sorry. The steal to slow it down, to wait for Knowledge to commit themselves off the post. Wonderful, gorgeous excellence from Sustain. Gets Fanshawe Fuel back into the game.
You've seen wonderful mechanics, and from there you've painted the picture of great game sense from Sustain. And I think there's one thing we can agree on: if Fanshawe want to continue to rack up the tally, it's to get the ball in the hands of Sustain. The one may have to make a defensive play here against this passing play from UCM. They put this in the danger zone, but yes, Sustain does get that high touch. Frostigonington targeting the net. There's a shot that finally doesn't register a goal from Frostigonington. It almost ends up the follow from Nolid, and still just not able to score. They are. Sustain up for this, wants to read it for the dunk, and gets there from the top rope. Sustain.
We're taking a trip to the theatre, my friends, because the popcorn is here. Sustain out the bucket, dunks it in the bucket, gets that second goal for the first time this series for Fanshawe Fuel. Where was this accuracy 10 minutes ago? At least it's here now.
The nerves are cut loose, and these players have locked in. Sustain with the flag, dominating, being the captain of this team, lighting the way. Is the path still that much clearer? It's not complete. They've only tied it up. 2 minutes remaining. Fanshawe, it's time to hold that momentum. You've got two demolitions. You might have an open lane here. Nexi, high touch, bumped off the play. Nolid having to get to this ball sooner than they are. Shot goes wide, and Fanshawe's still in search of it.
Do I hear the nerves are jangling from UCM? That defense doesn't look so assured as it did a couple of minutes ago. And this is excellent from Fanshawe Fuel, but a demo in the midfield leaves them light on the defense. We've got UCM pushing forward now, but that's a lovely challenge. Up goes Frostigonington, wins this particular race. Who's going to follow up though? It's the team-coloured orange. Fanshawe Fuel moving forward. Nexi here with a chance. Round the corner, we've got Knowledge here on the backboard, over the top of Knowledge, but they're on the mid-100 boost as well. Not able to make too much more of it there, unfortunately, is Wisey slides. But what a great cut inside. UCM looking every which way, and they only see Fanshawe Fuel players.
Oh, that was it right there. What a pass from Wisey sides again, coming right out to Sustain. Nexi, so close, yet again so far away. You've got to think at this point, if Sustain isn't shooting the ball, will Fanshawe ever score? They've registered 6 shots, and they've all come from Sustain. So you can see the mark that they're going for as Wisey Slides gets those passes out to their teammate, and Nexi playing that all too close to the goal line.
Playing with a very aggressive anchor now, Fanshawe Fuel. If anything, it's kind of counterintuitive to how they started this series, where they were looking for those pure out-and-out sucker punches after being pummeled in to their own back line. But this is wonderful. Oh, Sustain didn't get the launch, had to readjust. Opportunity spurned, but look at this, it's fallen away from Knowledge. He ran out of boost, allows Nexi to move forward now, gets that second touch off the wall, but has to retreat himself. Frostigonington not going to get past Sustain. Is this short? It's surely not going to be a third overtime in a row, but that's exactly the way it's going to head. Incredible.
And you mentioned the theater earlier. The spotlight is put on Frostigonington, the one player who scored that golden goal in overtime. Both games. Well, the tempo's different this time around. It's been dominated recently by Fanshawe. They can't let this go. They have to reverse sweep a whole best of 7. Wisey slides in hopes of Fanshawe fans to redeem them to get that opportunity on this possession.
2 goals unanswered. If there has ever been a chance to win a game, oh, it's now! And would you believe your eyes, ladies, gentlemen, MBs out there? Oh, what a chance, and it has gone. Fanshawe Fuel cannot stop here, though. They've got to keep flying away. Oh, and now the woodwork comes to their rescue.
Oh, it's playing on both sides here, but Big Wheel wants to play everywhere on the field. Gets that cut off, followed by the shot. Do they have the dunk almost? And the knowledge shot hits off the corner as well. Fine margins here as Frostagonington not quite there. Sustain with the clear, followed by high touch for the longer clear. That is resolve. That is the captain mentality from Sustain to get them out of that run.
Yeah, captain confidence, and that's a lovely pass as well. No one able to latch onto it except those coloured in blue. UCM white move out to the midfield, but Frostagonington's lost it. Well recovered from Nolly, but he has to chase over his own pass, at which Wisey slides, intercepts, infield. Frostagonington throws it into no man's land, really. The direction of pass from UCM really lacking in the last 5 minutes of gameplay.
Really is. Wonder who you look to step it up here. Honestly, at this point, with what we've seen, it could be any player that we're seeing right now. Big Wheel, that ball's gonna get away from him. That was a chance off the ceiling, but first touch hit a little too hard. This one, not hit hard enough. Nexi, a boomer across the stage that is saved by Big Wheel, who's been that third man at times just to recover. Right moment for their team. Big Wheel once again. Now off the sidewall, followed by the air dribble. Met with a quick challenge that Wisey slide picks up. Now lit up high. A striker there of Big Wheel to miss the mark. Who is going to hit their target here in OT?
At the very least, UCM is hitting it into no man's land. Fanshawe Fuel cannot afford to give it right back to their opponents. Wisey slides a little too sharp an angle to try and shoot for over the top of Nexi. Lovely interception from Sustain, who is rising to the occasion. Incredible confidence despite his team under the cosh. Big bump. Again, guess who on hand to make that save? Big Wheel going for that second touch. No, leaves it for Frostagonington. It's the man of the hour. It's Captain Clutch.
Get this guy on my team! I lose so many overtimes, and now I know all I need to do is pass it to this guy. Frostagonington, a third overtime winning goal that puts UCM ahead in the series of 3.
Oh, Fanshawe Fuel. Fanshawe Fuel, what are we going to do with you? Not once, not twice, but thrice. You have lost the game by 1 goal in overtime. And usually when it comes to overtime, I would say that if you are a mentally weak team, it won't matter. The 1 overtime will completely disrupt your game flow. This team, not the case. They have bounced back every single time in different ways. But 3 losses in a row, same player getting the same goal time and time again. That's got to be grating on the overall team spirit, Pyro. But that's just Rocket League for you.
Yeah.
You gotta leave your demons at the door and play with whatever freedom and confidence you can find, because it's reverse sweep or nothing here.
All or nothing. Single elimination here in playoffs of the Contenders League for ECAC. So we said earlier at the start of the hour, it's time to put up or shut up. Regular season's out of the way. Playoffs is here, and with their backs against the wall, it is the Fanshawe Fuel. 3 overtimes in a row, they lose, but they've got this chance and this one only to bring it on back. Game 4 is on.
You know, it's not even the go-ahead goal for Fanshawe Fuel. They need to find 2 goals, and they need to find those 2 goals to the good against UCM White. They need daylight. They need a safety net, and they need to play with resolve. Sustain sustains.
Wow. How about this read? The waterfall down, the presence of mind to aerial perfectly as a ball drops in their lap. Sustain again.
Good start. Now, how do you go on, Fanshawe Fuel?
That's the
Got
question.
Sustain once again. I mean, it's the question, isn't it? Like, you've got that 1 goal, but you have been in this position before. And Pyro, we know that UCM White, they do like to grow into games, don't they? Sometimes they've had those odd kickoff goals here and there, but really, when we look at the numbers, when we crunch them down, this team gets better and better, and it's proven by the 3 overtime victories.
Oh, they really do. I would say they do it best on the demo game, especially from Nolid on the punches on the goal line. But this time that's actually Sustained taking more of a playmaker role and getting the demo on the goal line for Fan Shaw. So both teams really dominating in that punishment game, that disruption play. And we'll see it again as Lane attempted to clear from Nexi. They attempted to split the defenders as well, but they close that gap. Sustained keeps it in the danger zone, but Big Wheel has an aerial counter ready in store. They the pinch play, the second touch, anything to garner some type of shot towards the net, not quite. And we'll see yet another elimination of a car from the field. Nolid tries to deflect a shot. Frosta Goddington takes it right off the crossbar.
Big save, but a big change, big adaptation from Fanshawe Fuel, giving UCM a bit of their medicine, Pyro. The demolition charges are out early, but how about this for the infield pass from Big Will? Froster Gornington denied at the crossbar. 3 minutes left. Time really does fly when you're having fun, but I guarantee you, these Fanshawe players having no fun here because it is nerve-wracking stuff. They have to try and score again whilst keeping UCM out.
Oh, is it even any fun being in the lead right now? It just feels like more pressure. But you've got to wipe the sweat off your brow and continue on. Finish off these demo plays, off these shot chances. Look good, but you know they want that cushion and a lead that may not survive much longer. Nolid still hits the post, but this time it's good enough.
Yeah, completely susses out the trajectory of Wisey Slides. Nexi out the play, Sustained is effectively 2v1, and sadly for him, for me, the MVP of this Fanshawe side, commits to the OG in the end. Had to get a touch, otherwise it was going in anyway. 1 apiece. UCM back in it.
Oh, but could it be this returning blow from Fanshawe to put them back in the lead? Maybe. Sustained has the boost to get this. Oh, it's a touch still from Wisey Slides instead, and it opens the field up big time. Sustained chases the ball back to the goal line, but loses the race.
One too many steps. Wisey Slides there is not the culprit. I believe it was one of Sustained or Nexi, whoever's second in that charge. Didn't need to commit, and once he had committed, well, Wisey Slides was already committing to his run. It was a domino effect, catastrophic for Fanshawe Fuel, who now have to fight from behind again with only 2 minutes left. Good opportunity here, but the backboard is well marshaled by Nolid.
Well, they already had to be resilient, being so far down in the series. Might not be down in the game as well to make for the ultimate comeback. They've got to do it here in less than 2 minutes. And Nolid is here, breathing down their neck with a double tap opportunity. The backboard defense is set up and ready to go for Fanshawe. Wisey Slides as well, ready for a tall clear, but it's missed the mark in terms of power, so Big Wheel picks it up instead, opts for the flip reset, doesn't find it. Sustained slows down the pace of the game just to play for that 50. Nolid tries to break through, but it only assists in the defensive play from Fanshawe. They get it out, and they've got another chance.
Like this, oh! Had to be all hands to the pump then, UCM White. But with the clear lane on this left-hand side, going central now, Big Wheel, is this his moment, goes ahead, gets the bump, Froster Gonington gets another potential press, but oh, they still can't find that not even the go-ahead goal, but they can't find that 2-goal differential that would really put Fanshawe Fuel into the ground here.
You wonder if they go back to their roots of the counterattack. You wonder if they just dominate in the way of Sustain and try to feed them the ball at any time. At this point, you've got to rely on your strengths. You have 30 seconds remaining. Nexi searches for Sustain and the net. They play for both and neither win out. The follow-up's not good enough. Big Wheel bullies Sustain and the ball away. 20 seconds to make this possession work.
What, are they going to run out of first, talent or time? Maybe both. Sustain has to improvise. Backboard. It hits the backboard again. Nexi isn't even going to challenge this to Nolid. He picks up the remains, but he has to get past 1. He has to get past 2. Teammate on hand. Wisey has to commit, does so, doesn't win the challenge. Oh, it's going to hit the ground, but before a game has ended, Big Wheel cements it. Another 4-0. UCM White progress.
Woo! Fighting tooth and nail. It's Big Wheel and company of UCM White to garner their victory. But it's a victory nonetheless. 1, 2, 3, 4 in a best of 7, 4 wins. Grant them the round of 16 matchup coming next for them against Stockton Blue Relic. But wow, our first technically 2-point win, Relic, if you want to count that 0-second goal.
I mean, it was a bit of a buzzer beater, wasn't it? And I think we also have to consider that Fanshawe Fuel had to throw the kitchen sink. They had to throw the entire kitchen at their opponents. And so naturally it was going to leave their goal wide open. Yeah, I think as much as Fanshawe, I don't know where their heads are at really, because given the banter pre-series, I think there's pretty clear that Fanshawe weren't fancying their chances, especially given that they did ultimately lose 4-0 in that previous series. But again, you look at the minutia, you know, you dig underneath, you know, the first set of papers, and in this series, as was the case in their regular season series, we have two teams who are way closer matched than perhaps people would give them credit for. And I really think that Fanshawe Fuel will be ruining their lack of shot accuracy. How many certain goals go in if the ball is a little bit more to the left or a little bit more to the right? I really think that we're talking as extreme as a 4-0 in favor of Fanshawe Fuel if their shots are actually on target.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong about this. And I think it was exacerbated earlier on in the series as well. So maybe, you know, hitting those training packs, warming up before the match, making sure you're very confident about your car, its hitbox, and where you're placing that ball in a shot chance. But I mean, to be honest as well, Relic, I'm not a competitor at this level when everything's on the line, when it's single elimination, when it's playoffs in a league standing for all this time. You can do all the training you want. You can hit the perfect shots. And when the pressure's on, that's where it's different, right? And getting those chances, you just got to get more experience and opportunity. And for Fanshawe, I hope that these players do get that opportunity. Because at the end of the day, what we're saying, Relic, is all three of those players have big potential to make it farther. Unfortunately, though, their road does end here. So in the sense of UCM White, when we talk about these players, you know, factual that Nolid and Nolid played more of an assist role in getting the bumps and keeping the rotations going, especially those bumps on the goal line look fantastic. And Big Wheel was the one that we looked to. But Frosta Gonington, like, can we just take a second to talk about how clutch this player was? I have never seen one player hit just one shot and it be the goal each and every time in overtime. That is mind-blowing to me.
You know, it's really weird, isn't it? Because if I was to pick out the team that was most affected by the pressure of the situation, I would have said UCM, quite honestly, because there were bits and pieces where we saw glimmers of this team that we know that they can be. And funnily enough, we are hopefully going to have an interview with Big Wheel in a little bit as well, which again, you're looking at Big Wheel as your big enabler, as your mechanic marvel. And there are only a few moments where he was really able to do anything along the lines that we would expect from him, which again, is no slight on him. It's just the situation makes things far more difficult to actually run a game as you want, especially with Fanshawe Fuel being as riotous as they ended up being in the end. But when it comes to those moments, when your back's against the wall, where you know that one goal is going to make the difference, man, what a difference it makes to have that guy who just has it, who has the clutch factor. And for Frosta Gonington, I wholeheartedly agree with you. To find 3 goals in overtime, I mean, the guy practically won 3 points all on his own.
For real. Yeah, it really did come down to that. But to learn how what it all came down to, I'll say, we'll hear from Big Wheel very shortly here, folks, from UCM White, as they take this sweep win over the Fanshawe Fuel in round 1 of our Contenders League of ECAC. We'll see you here very shortly with that interview. Go. Well, welcome on back, everybody. We just got done showcasing our round 1 of the Contenders League for the ECAC, in which UCM White take that sweep win over the Fanshawe Fuel. A nail-biter of a matchup still, though, as we had so many overtimes. Here to discuss it with us is Big Wheel from UCM White. So, welcome in, Big Wheel. Can't quite see you. We've got you're repping UCM Esports logo. I love it. Let me hit you with the how does it feel to take the win here in playoffs? And how clutch is Frosta Goddington? 3 overtime goals. I can't believe it.
Yeah, no, it was great. Let me tell you, in those overtime games, Frosty came in clutch. It just so happened that he scored all 3 of the goals, I think, in each overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And just leading up to that point, I mean, he was clutch. He was good at passing and everything like that. But all credit to Fanshawe Fuel. It was a close series. It might be 4-0, but I mean, it doesn't say the whole story. It was definitely a battle. But we're looking forward to the next round. Playoffs, it's always great to win. You got to keep winning, obviously. There's a lot more to go. But yeah, we're just happy to be here.
Yeah, very similar story in terms of not just the series scoreline, but the individual game scorelines as well. And certainly they look to be doing a good job of disrupting your passing lanes. And I think it's fair to say that your net was a little bit rattled, a lot of dents in the various bits of woodwork. How do you guys as a team try and ride those tough ways where you're not as synchronous as you would like to be? Is it more comms? Is it heads down? I'd love to get a little bit of insight on that.
I think it comes down to just trusting each other. I think at times when a goal happens or like you're really pushed back on the defense and you just feel like it's never ending, I think you just got to sit there and understand that, you know, you have each other's backs and yeah, we have intense comms. We try to keep up with the communication, but I think it's all a faith in each other. I think at the end of the day, ranks aside, it's a matter of trusting your teammates and knowing that they're going to do their job and you're going to do your job and you're just out there having fun. So I think that's the biggest key and goal mindset we have.
I loved hearing that, and I feel like that explains a lot for the defense, Big Wheel. I want to shift things to offense. I find a lot of the time when you guys are able to sprout a counterattack, you're the one taking it. You start a clear with a long, tall aerial that mixes in a reset maybe, and it really gets the attack going. It showcases your mechanics, and oftentimes you're one of the only players on the field that can do that so consistently. Do you find that is a great solution for your team to sprout a possession rather than maybe those mechanics being the finishing factor, the thing that scores the goal? So is it more advantageous to do that at the beginning of possession or the end? And how do you feel like in particular your role plays on the field?
Honestly, I think it has its moments. I think at the beginning it's good because there can be a lot of times where I go up for a reset or an air dribble play, a solo play you could call it, and maybe I go for a reset and instead of continuing, I just say fake and then I leave it for them. I think that's the biggest thing because it gets them so pushed back. When you give up on the ball, one of them can just come out of left field and just take a shot, and I think that's really powerful. But then you're going to have your times where just doing a solo play to finish it off is okay. And then also maybe instead of a solo play off the wall, you go up the wall, but just put it down mid. So I think each has their own place, but I guess you guys described it well. That's probably the main thing we showed today.
Yeah, but you gave us a lot of the insight into the different ideas that can go offshoot off that initial aerial. So I really loved hearing about that, Big Wheel. Thanks for providing that insight. I kind of want to wish you well here on the rest of playoffs. You're on to the round of 16 to play Stockton Blue. Before we let you go, any thoughts on that matchup or the future of UCM Esports as it is here in ECAC?
I mean, I think we're just here to make our mark. We want to see how far we can go. We're hoping for the best. It's playoffs, so you got to win or go home. So we're going to be going next week and with a winning mindset, and we're going to see what happens.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, we will see what happens. Big Wheel, thank you so much for your time. And as we said, good luck in that matchup coming up.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Relic, that was a Big Wheel. You can tell they're like, you know what? Credit to Fanshawe Fuel because, yeah, we won, but it was sweaty.
Yeah, it was very sweaty. But that is a guy who interviews very well, isn't it? I think, especially in this scene, in this esport, there are some people who definitely like to duck out of interviews, and there are people who are as eloquent and succinct and retrospective as Big Wheel, to see the flaws, but also to, like he said, have that faith in his teammates that no matter what happens, they can still pull through. That is a fantastic mentality in a single elimination bracket, and I'm sure that is going to bode for them very well in the weeks coming up.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, collegiate players. Take notes on Big Wheel's interview there, but take notes on the win as well, because that's a 4-0 win for UCM White tonight against the Fan Shaw Fuel. Awesome matchup and so lovely to watch. Don't worry, folks, the action is not over. Coming up next, we're going to hand it off to Clutch Key and Ash for a matchup between the College of Staten Island and Keene University. Look forward to that action as myself and Relic and Prof Layton here hand it over. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Congratulations to UCM White, and we'll catch you next time.
As we approach the end of March, it's time to get into the postseason. In Overwatch this season, 3 groups in the Elite Division fought for their chance to enter into extra games. But out of the 21 that competed in this season, only 12 would make it to this stage. Tonight, we feature the first round of the Elite Division playoffs, which features 2 teams with the same record in different groups at 4-2. It's time for the matchup between the Kane University Cougars and the College of Staten Island Dolphins. If it's the ECAC playoffs, it's right here on Esports U, as we say aloha, friends, and welcome inside of the booth alongside my partner, Asher Vaught-Klutschke, here to bring you the first round between 2 teams with the same record, just having a little bit of different paths to get here. But Ash, you've casted Battle Royale games like Apex Legends, so you know the very well saying last team standing, and now these teams are really going to feel that kind of pressure because it's not like the regular season now, it's survive and advance.
Yeah, last man standing, last team standing, if you will, going into it. I'm just thankful it's nothing like Apex to a point where we have to sit through match point and it can be 1 hour, 2 hour, maybe 5 hours before we see an end of the game. I mean, obviously anyone like Zephyr Dia would definitely know about that, but of course, leading into this, 2 teams tied at 4-2 with some significant wins, but some significant losses leading into it as well.
Yeah, lots of things to talk about here for the losses. Some bigger than others, I guess you could say, if you're looking at the standard between these 2 teams. Now, these 2 did line up in different groups, both of them 4-2, so did qualify for the playoffs, especially with the bye as well. That will help out with that 1 extra point. So both of them coming in with 9 points overall. Kane's losses, though, a little bit more significance than CSI. Staten Island's losses come between the number 1 and the number with Florida International as well as Illinois Wesleyan, both at 0-3, both 3-0s actually in those groups. And their last game before the playoffs is actually a bye anyway, so they get a little bit of time to recover. Kane, meanwhile, had losses to St. Clair Academy, which is 0-3, which was one of the top teams. But not only that, a team that didn't make the playoffs as well, they lost to Marist 3-1 as well. So this is going to get quite interesting to figure out whether or not they are ready for the playoffs. And that was just last week. So the bounce back is what we're looking for here between these 2 teams. As we're talking here, teams are entering the map right now. First map we go to start off our day is Lijiang Tower, and this is Kane's map pick as well. They are the home team in this situation, considering tiebreakers, and also with Kane's pick, we go to El Clasico, if you will, of Overwatch maps.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower, really that classic map, the bread and butter of Overwatch, if you will. And you know what? I would not be surprised at all to see a Lucio popping out here, haven't exactly locked it in. One thing we were discussing in the green room, do you remember how I was talking about the Samoan goats meta that everybody did not appreciate for Overwatch at all because of manga?
Yeah, I mean, there is manga on the other side, and, well, there's a wrecking ball to counter that. So, essentially, this is, well, mobility versus fire, I guess you could say, but who the heck knows what's going to go on here. Echo gets pulled out at the same time with the Tracer, so Kane's going to try to run a very quick comp. Staten Island's going to go ahead and basically, well, they're going to try to counter this as much as they can in general. Agu actually goes off of the map for a little while. Good thing he had a recall, but Chongun's right there to take care of business, making it a 5-on-4 situation, and Kane's got really no entry after that.
And Chongun really denying the Tracer any room whatsoever to maneuver. And now majority Staten Island trying to push Kane away off the point and doing a damn good job at it. The one thing that terrifies me with Manga's abilities, sure, got nerfed significantly, but even Cardiac Overdrive is enough to really put a crimp in anybody's day. Not exactly that much overhealth, but for everybody involved, you still have the charge and have at least some modicum of shatter.
Well, let's see here. Cammy's already up to 50%. Leo Leon's up to 65%, so a little bit of a difference. Only problem, one is spread out in the ultimates. The other one, well, hell in a cell, really. So 32% enrolling for Staten Island here, and really, Kane's just got no entryway. Kane's just got nothing to try to figure this out, and now they will. It will be an invitation from Becomix onto the Manga to see if they can help out, but that gets eliminated right away thanks to the, well, disruptor shot and the rest of the help from Staten Island. So as much as Kane wanted to play, Staten Island says no.
Not only that, the Kitsune rush straight into the charge right from the Manga, and a very angry one at that. So, in replication, yeah, that's not happening, at least not on this map for now. So, Staten Island, still at 58% and counting, but Kane, we'll say, ult differential is there. You have about 3 of them up, especially with the Kitsune rush and beat drop. Both could be massive, and I imagine it's going to have to be the hamster mines to hit you first.
Well, the hamster mines come out, but at the same time gets hacked, so no slam down anyways, which means Kane has enough time, or rather Staten Island has enough time to exit. However, Leo knocks one off the map, and that's not the one you expect to go off the map. That's a Lucio that gets knocked off the map, and Phobic gets knocked off the map as well, thanks to the grapple that is Leo Leon. So basically for Kane, they get a win thanks to the graduate student.
blow for blow, trade for trade, pick for pick. If you are the side of Kane, majority graduate students really leading into it, you're definitely going to love to see this. Might just switch the hamster out, maybe go for the manga pick. Which this mirror match, I've seen it before in OWCS. It really in TEC can be so exhausting with the overhealth, with the overdrive, and anything you can possibly think of. And I imagine it is going to be the EMP to really put some damage in your day. Not exactly make you happy as Chongyun able to seek out Leo Leon, and no more manga for the side of Kane. The same can be said for Beans and Akiriko.
So 90% enrolling, good play there from Staten Island to at least get rid of that EMP, and Chongyun's able to get it so that they have an entryway in. Now 95% enrolling, Kane still has a shot at this. You have a Kitsune Rush available to you. There is a touch to force overtime, and now this is going to have to be quick and furious here because that overtime clock starts to bleed. Yet again, that's going to be the Tracer in, but the Tracer's now gone. Kitsune Rush is going to have to save everything you've got because you don't have any more ultimates on the board. Staten Island has 2 to use. They have an overclock. They have a Sab area to use, and that might just be all they need. Good staggering of the ultimates from Staten Island, and Kane's just going to find absolutely no success. 100 to 25 to start us off on the night market.
And a massive ulti stagger to go in with that, the beat drop, and then the overclock to really put in the damage. Moving on to phase 2, Lijiang Tower. You have to re-strategize here just slightly so if you are on the side of Kane. And really think about it, because Staten Island, sure, like I mentioned before, manga got nerfed, but in conjunction with everybody, I imagine beat drop and then the Kitsune Rush really did them in. And now a couple switches coming in as Cammy moving over to the Doomfist and Phobic with the Tracer.
And talking with my good friend Chef Billy last week, we were talking about basically Malga with that nerf from down from 400 to 375, and that means that Malga gets a little bit more optional. It's not a considerable optional, but you can still play a bit of different comps. We saw Ramattra, we saw Doomfist before as well. Doomfist making some problems while they were on that side too. So this Doomfist coming out from Staten Island, changing up the looks just a little bit more. Again, this is fast and furious. Kane wants to take care of whatever's on the other side of that tank, which means Agu is on the Reaper. Unfortunately, against maybe a Doomfist, that's a little bit more too much mobility that Kane has to try to handle. Chongyun does get the mirror matchup onto Becomix. Becomix, though, does get rid of Phobic, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. However, we know this team any further. It's going to be Staten Island just pressuring off right now. Has to back away, does have the punch available. Nobody touching the point for right now. Funk is in a little bit too deep. Has to use the Cardiac Overdrive just to help out a little bit with the lifesteal, and Kane will take the first advantage to try to hop onto this point. Doomfist v Doomfist right now. In the meanwhile, Agu, though, is able to get rid of 2 in the back line on Chongyun and Bioactive, and for the first time, Kane's going to get the first flip.
And that was going to be a smart decision coming in from Kane here. Able to use the manga to charge in on the tower, really take advantage of the presence of the scene, if you will. And really, Cardiac Overdrive came in clutch at the right time as well. Of course, getting pocketed by your Kiriko and Lucio are going to do that just as well. Now focusing on bridge with big damage coming in from the Reaper. Agu building up on the ulti, but it's going to be Kitsune Rush to be the one up first just momentarily.
So 20% enrolling here for Kane. Kane's got the Kitsune Rush, which they will use right away. Chongyun does have the EMP. Chongyun's done out of it for a couple of moments, though won't be able to use it for right now as Leo Leon gets rid of that kill. And so what a stun away for right now with that charge in. And now it's just a 5-on-4 situation. Staten Island's going to go ahead and invest ults, though they will use the Meteor Strike, Kitsune Rush, and Pulse Swap at the same time. Is it going to result in anything is the bigger question. That answer might be no here because Cammy's so low and Cammy goes down. They start trading blows, but everybody knows in a trading blows situation, somebody's got to play the hero for the losing side, and right now that losing side is Staten Island. Wildfire takes care of Ripster, and it looks like Kane's going to be able to hold on to this.
And sustainability at an all-time high for Kane with the Lucio and the manga kills. On top of that, Phobic was the last one to go down on the side of Staten Island. Now forced to switch back again. Cammy feeling that hopefully a manga mirror match might come up in full clutch. But in this case, I'm beginning to see why people do not like this character whatsoever. Annoying, sure. Sustainability, it's up there. Even with the nerfs, it's still just as high. I mean, Death Blossom, I imagine, would have been a possibility had it not been for the late EMP and Chongyun off rip getting the kill. Death Blossom to some effect. Agu only able to get the solo.
Yeah, poor Chongyun, by the way, translocates into the Death Blossom, mind you, so that's a little bit of a poor situation.
Oh, no.
And so Staten Island will get EMP thanks to Picomix, but nothing will come out of it for right now. Kitsune Rush actually goes outside of the area of play there, so they actually get a few more shots off. Waffle Iron and Picomix getting the final blows. 98%, it is just going to be the Lucio to touch. Lucio gets EMP, no more speeding around, no more running around the ring in general here in Gardens. You've only got one more left to go. That's probably the Tracer or the Sombra that is touching right now. Sombra gone. It's the Hell in the Cell right now from the cage fight. That is the Maul going to keep Cammy 1-on-1 at bay. Now they still just got a few more left to go. It's the Kiriko as well as the Tracer that are left. Overtime clock will start to bleed. And from basically what was a 125 for Staten Island, Kane's going to be able to flip this 100-0 on their own as we head all the way to the control center.
And in it to 1-1. Of course, you have to pop off with the beat drop just at the last second. But you say Hell in a Cell, and if anything, remnants of 1990s Mankind versus Undertaker there, being involved with the manga like that up close and personal to really lock majority of Staten Island in. I mean, sure, they wanted the point, they got it. Trying to hold on to it, however, that was a completely different story.
So we are going to see all three maps here. We're going to see Night Market go 125 to CSI. Guardian is perfect for Kane 100-0. It seems like they found a little bit of a niche with the Reaper, so Agu and Shangyun will both go to the Reaper instead. Shangyun will go there. Sojourn, however, makes, I believe, one of the few appearances. We did see it back on the Night Market. Will not see it here. Or actually, no, Phobic will change on over to the Symmetra. I don't know if that stays. In fact, no, it's just the teleporter in just to get them quicker into this control center server room, which means Staten Island's got positional advantage without Phobic there for only a couple of moments. Cammy's already up to 15%, but Leo Leon's already making a lot of shots happen at 25%. Staten Island will try to take, or rather I should say Kane tries to take first position of the point. Cammy, though, is able to take care of Agu on the final blow, and that's forcing him back because that's a lot of your big damage gone. And Sombra's only there to hack it virus away, meaning that Staten Island's got a first fight win.
And Sombra in your backline is really the one thing you want to worry about, and in with the hacks and out with majority. Kane right now is being really forced to push off the point. Staten Island able to take control, and with the teleport as well, granted them some big advantage on the ups.
Let's see for right now here for Staten Island's side. They've got 10%. They've got some ultimates coming up, especially the Coalescence. First time we're going to see a Moira played out here in this entire series. Well, it's only the first map after all. 20% of rolling Coalescence is going to be big, though. There's really nothing to kind of sound barrier that after all. You're only really sound barriering any big ultimates like the Cage or the Death Blossom after all anyways, and the Coalescence will get popped out. And it is hacked finally, but not before Leo Leon does go down, so a big Coalescence there and a big stop here as they go all the way out the door, and look how far up this manga is outside the door wanting to play.
And it's going to be a really big thing to deal with. I mean, Ripster sure was able to get the trade out on the Becomix, but really at what cost? And now Kane, no more Sombra for now. Really just force outside door Staten Island, holding them in a really nasty, gnarly choke point, if you will. I imagine Cardiac Overdrive and the Kitsune Rush should both help. Majorly Cage Fight beat drop into the Reaper Death Blossom, but still to some effect, barely put a dent in anybody, as with major counters, both sides phobic, however, on the railgun with Agu, Waffle Iron Beans, and Becomix all going down to the overclock.
You hate it as an Overwatch player when you see the Moira come up with 2 kills in that entire process after all the ultimates. It's just one little tick from the Moira to give you
Exhausting.
It's a little tiring to see sometimes. But Ripster, though, is able to find final blows, and that's going to allow them to go into final fight territory, essentially. So great play there, especially to stave off that Kitsune Rush. And also now Kane's got a EMP alongside of a cage fight to go with. Now what they decide to, if and when they decide to use it, is the bigger question. Could use it right now, considering that the amount of people are there. They're just going to push them off. Becomix has already got Phobic, so you don't need to waste an ultimate, although Agu now going down may force your hand in the process. And now they're going to go ahead and charge in. Changyan and Bioactive both getting the kills there, and Leo Leon goes down before the cage fight can even go. So now it's going to be Staten Island cleaning up house, and as perfect as Kane was on the Guardian, Staten Island flips it right back and goes perfect themselves as they win on the control center, and they take the series lead 1-0.
I will say, the back and forth come around, Lean has that potential just to be a place.
Yeah, an unbelievable start here between these two teams. And I will say, after all, 100-0, 100-0, 125, that is not numerically great for either end to start off at the very least, considering that your last 2 maps didn't have the losing team of the round touch, and that's just an unbelievable thing to think about. Even though it started 125, you thought CSI had it, and then all of a sudden Kane flips it on its head. So after all, it is an overall win here for College of Staten Island. Dolphins take the 1-0 lead here in this series, as the winner will actually take on the #1 seed overall in Fisher. So this is a very important game for them in the meanwhile. So let's go to our next map as we get through this. And I believe our next map that we will see overall here will be Hybrid. So Hybrid map, this is losing sides pick overall. Some of the pool within it itself is just pretty much all over the place. So Hybrid maps, I would assume, considering everything that's going on how close it was, Scrims Row probably the pick. I'm just going to say for comfort pick, it's probably Scrims Row. Yep. And there's the confirmation. Kings Row. There it is. There's the confirmation. Why not? Why not? Comfort pick. And you can see it too with what Kane was bringing to the table. Kane and Staten Island were kind of switching places all over, right? They were kind of swapping heroes. We saw Doomfist, we saw Wrecking Ball, we saw Mauga, obviously for the most part, but we saw Reaper, we saw the Sojourn, we saw the Sombra. So this can really go all over the place depending. And Kings Row is really the one place where you think, all right, we can switch it whatever we want. We can try to make this work.
Yeah, Kings Row, or Scrims Row, we know it here in the UC system as well, gets really experimental with a lot of the picks going into it. I mean, sure, you may expect, okay, Roadhog, Junker Queen, I mean, that's totally cool. And then in seeing, like you mentioned it yourself, how back and forth a lot of the switches were with Staten Island and Kane and Lijiang Tower, I mean, I want to say manga again, but I am just so tired. Like, Goats meta in Overwatch 2 is not what I really wanted, not what I'm looking forward to.
I will say something behind the scenes, though. You did say something before this that you were kind of excited with the Goats meta that was the manga. I swear you said this
slightly
right before
so. Yeah, slightly so. But then going into this game, I think I might have had my mind changed a little bit because I'm sitting here thinking, is it gonna go on like this forever? Just like double cardiac overdrive and then cage fight in the leading, and then pocketed by Kiriko or Lucio. It's just so endless, and I'm beginning to think, this might be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, maybe a slight issue here as we head into the next map. Kings Row is where we go for the next one up, as Scrims Row, more commonly known as and more lovingly known as, I guess you could say, to most of the players here. But for those of you just joining us again, Kane, Staten Island, both teams 4-2, looking to break out, and a great series we have overall as well. Both teams going 4-2 overall, but the bigger one of note that both of these teams have a loss before this entire playoffs and a loss to end their regular season. The only exception would be Staten Island having a bye to end their regular season anyways, but other than that, their last played game going into this postseason here was a loss. So both of these teams looking to bounce back from their losses respectively to Marist as well as Illinois Wesleyan if you're CSI. So let's see what they decide to pull out here as we go on to the Kings Row. And for Staten Island, a little bit of a different look. I mean, this is the attacking side. They could change at any moment here. But if a Zarya comes out, this is one rarity I have not seen, at least in this meta so far.
I will say on that side, I mean, Zarya would slightly be interesting, like you said, in the meta. I mean, usually maybe Winston or maybe even Roadhog if you squint. But against Kane's manga, I mean, really, we're just going to have to wait and see it. We'll say defensive-wise, get your bubble shields out. It shouldn't be that much of an issue, especially in close quarters as can be.
Let's see the close quarters fight here. They're just fighting around the OW2 hotel right now. As you can see, the Zarya putting on a lot of pressure, and that's just forcing them back. You don't want to shoot into the bubble, obviously, and that's the pressure that Staten Island is going to use right up against them. Chungin and Bioactive making the space there. Cammy's just putting on so much pressure. And look, we're not even capturing the first point, and they're all the way up, halfway up streets, and this is going to be guaranteed first tick.
Guaranteed. And went from the Alderworth Hotel fight to just straight up the street. I mean, really, that was a massive challenge. Did not exactly work in his favor here, but now with the payload in action, I imagine Kane might have a bit of an issue contesting against us with the Staten Island Zarya. Sure, an unorthodox pick, but so far it is actually working in their favor.
Yeah, so by the way, the time angle went up to 5:37, meaning that fight to get the first point was 53 seconds. That's insane.
I'm sorry, what?
To think about. Yeah, the time angle would have been 3:07 before it counted up another 2.5 to get the 5:37. So yes, it only took 53 seconds for Staten Island to capture the first point. They picked this, or rather, it is Kane's pick, but Staten Island knows the comfort of this map as well. Agu, though, will send Cammy back to the spawn room, although a close distance away with the secondary railgun shot. However, a farther distance away would be the respawn room of Kane, and that's where Chungyun sends Agu on the revenge kill for Cammy. So Cammy will get back first. It's a 5-on-4 for right now, as Leo Leon switches on over to the Zarya instead, but does have the Graviton Surge. Does Cammy Bioactive also having a Kitsune Rush? Could very well use it here. That's 3 people grouped up, and that's a lot of people in it as well. Samir is going to go up as well. Pulse Bomb will go just a little bit wide. Does not hit anything, but it's going to be the pressure of the Kitsune Rush, the Graviton Surge, and all the damage that's being poured out here. There is no overclock required. Rips are also using the Sound Barrier, but Staten Island pushing them all the way towards third point.
massive ulti stagger on the side of Staten Island and Kane. I mean, really, both supports Waffle Iron and Risper popped out with the beat drop just in time, but then it was double Kitsune Rush, I'm pretty sure. The Graviton Surge that brought everything together. Sure, the Pulse Bomb was a little late, but it still allowed Staten Island to really just push Kane all the way back. It was to spawn at this point and now find themselves in a massive amount of trouble.
Yeah, also look at the pressure as well. They can't even try to enter, and otherwise they're running into basically what is a very, very heavy cannon of that Zarya right now. Overclock gets fired out from Augu. See if this finds anything. It'll be pressured alongside of a Kitsune Rush, although maybe a little bit late at that for that Overclock to make any big difference. And now you're going to have the Overclock coming out from Chongyun. Does this make any difference? No, everybody's kind of just scattered around. This Zarya from Kami inside of the subway area just a little bit, and really nothing else can be done. They're so spread out that if they want to regroup, they're going to run into a lot of pressure.
And big pressure in the words of Swerve Strickland, of course, but now with the Surge again, everybody making sure to avoid it. I will say, kind of a maybe mistimed, misplaced, if you will. Then again, I'm not complaining as beat drop goes down and out. Now Kane on the defense, same could be said for Staten Island with the Kitsune Rush just in time. The same cannot be said for Phobic or anybody involved. Massive surge on the side of Staten Island for at least a 3-stack triple kill. Kane going down and out.
Not down and out just yet. Still got about 5 meters left to go, but Augu's not going to be able to do anything anyways. So yes, they do add another 90 seconds to the bank. What a massive Graviton Surge that was from Kami. I will say earlier for Leo Leon, I think that might have just been a little bit of timing, just mistimed it a little bit because they were hoping that Zarya and that Lucy was going to pop out of Subway at the right time. Just maybe a little bit of a mistiming there for Leo. So just unfortunate situation. Kane, though, did come up with 2 big ones, except Staten Island, and Kami comes back with 3 kills on the Graviton Surge alone, so that's big damage. And so now with 4 minutes left to go, pretty much now standard time just to move up 1. There's a big pulse bomb that lands and sticks, and the follow-up damage as well. Kami's able to get that onto Leo Leon. Now they move into the home stretch. Chongyun's able to get rid of Augu. Look at that 15-player kill streak. Chongyun is yet to die here before Bean finally takes it out with a kunai headshot. 3 minutes and 45, not a lot of time here for for Kane to make the comeback on the defensive end. If they want to go now, and not a lot of charge for Leo Leon. Big charge for Kami here. Kitsune Rush is going to force them out for a little while. Good kite out for right now. There's the pulse bomb stuck onto Kami, which bubbles that away for a couple of moments with 3:30 on the clock. Now Beans is able to get rid of Kami, and that should signal a fight when Kane holds on.
And Kane holding on just for a little longer here as best of their abilities, but Staten Island almost came dangerously close. And with 3 minutes and 19 seconds left on the clock, I imagine there are more than enough team fights under their belt to just be able to retake as easily, Key.
Well, let's see. I mean, for Staten Island, they do have the Kitsune Rush. They are coming up on the overclock. They're coming up on a sound barrier and a Graviton Surge as well. And Kami's Graviton Surges have been big so far. Sound barrier will go first from Waffle Iron. And Graviton Surge means that this Graviton Surge is going to be a little bit more countered out than anything from Leo Leon for right now, as Kami will use the Graviton Surge as well. This isn't going to find, maybe it's only going to find 1, but gets out of it in the meanwhile. So there are no more ultimates on the board. Every ultimate has been used. It's a dry fight now with 2 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. Who's got the better of it? Phobic, though, right now has Waffle Iron down. Phobic's going off, has a secondary kill on the pulse bomb. Kami gets another one. Kami's going to signify the full house. It's a team wipe, and 2 minutes and 33 seconds on the clock. Staten Island going uno, dos, adios, completing the entire map of Kings Row, and what a way to do so with big time on the clock.
Now 3-0, plenty of time to meet out. 2 minutes, 33 seconds, and we're still able to cap it out in the last second pulse bomb, and really the initiative with the Zarya as well. But Kane in a very dangerous position in the first place. I mean, plenty of those team fights, they got pushed almost all the way back to spawn, whether it be through the hall or just through here.
Yeah, I mean, the way that Staten Island was pushing up through streets was pushing up through the entire last point as well. You imagine that Staten Island's pressure just got to Kane maybe a little bit. They did have a couple of fight wins here and there, right? 233 does not mean a perfect map. They did win about 2 or 3 fights, I believe, to make sure that that time end goes all the way down. But the pressure that Staten Island has was just immense. So now you're going to see this pressure get even bigger, because if this is going to stick, which I believe it is, considering that Staten Island's on the defensive side, you might not want to start walking through that main corridor if you got a main animal looking right at you.
That is going to be absolutely terrifying. And on the side of Kane, I imagine probably just going to pop out and be like, want to tell us whether there's a giant, maybe 7'4" Samoan man sticking there? You ask questions, you don't exactly want the answer to that one. And with Staten Island, imagine with the change-up, it'd be slightly interesting. You find yourself on defense, and with the May walls, I mean, it's just going to be the mother of all choke points leading into a key.
Bioactive was trying to push Cammy out. Oh, then okay, so Ripster's
saw
also
that.
trying to troll as well. Ripster's trying to keep Monka out there. They're having fun. Dolphins are having a little bit of fun. Yeah, just what the supports do. You know, push out your tank before you got to heal them anyways. You might as well just have a little bit of fun with them.
True.
15 seconds gone off the clock already. You can see the pressure. And look, I mean, Chang'an, patience is key. I don't think they noticed the Mei for right now. Actually, now they do. They have the Mei of their own. So now they're going to wall off. It's a corridor here. It's an L shape. It's a 90-degree angle, if you will, to find out who gets out of it. But it is going to be Kane getting out of it with at least one kill. That's Waffle Iron getting rid of Ripster thanks to the sound wave. Now that forces them all the way back. You don't have a big amount of healing. You've only got the Kiriko, and that Kiriko is really only singular healing anyways. So that's going to give them a free tick. Do they try to challenge for the second tick? No, second tick is there. Now could they try to challenge for the third? They might not be able to. Cammy's stuck against the wall here, and it's a free point for Kane. And they get in an even more impressive time. Try 50 seconds this time.
I think I know what Staten Island might be up to here, especially going in with the Malga and the Mei. Use the Ice Walls to your advantage in with the charge and then the Cardiac Overdrive to just double stack your damage and do as much as possible in a lot of these choke points. That first time around, though, when you mentioned the L-shaped wall, I'm pretty sure just ruined any plan they had whatsoever, and then Kane allowed them to at least save themselves a little bit of time and trouble going up the point and payload. But now, leading back over into the corridor, into streets, it's a major butt of pain as now you have multi-ults up. And at least Kitsune Rush to put down. I imagine Agu wanted to pop up with the Death Blossom, but now Kitsune Rush your own on the side of Staten Island. Death Blossom, but the stun last second takes Agu out, and Bioactive was able to get the kill.
Oh, Cammy just stomps on top of Agu, just goes ahead and Goomba Stomp. And this might be big though, has the Graviton Surge tied up with this, and the Blizzard not used at the same time, could have paired it up, but instead nothing comes out of it because they were thinking that they still had the Cleanse at the very least. Now the Cleanse, there it is, you could have used it earlier on just to clear out. Instead, no, the Monga's stuck now, the Monga low health. Doesn't stay alive anymore. The Blizzard does counter that out right away, so Kane does have a few more movements on their payload. But now Staten Island 2 ultimates on their board. Kane's got nothing. Oh.
Nothing under their sleeve just yet, and now Blizzard. The pop out pushes you straight off the payload. Phobic, I imagine, would be just as dashingly with the overclock of rare stray Agu. Really defend for themselves, fight for their lives, but unfortunately goes down and out the Chong with the Ice Wall to block.
See, that's where the Death Blossom could have been used right there. You don't have a Malga looking right at you. You don't get Goomba Stomps, right? You don't. Basically, I mean, for Staten Island, you know, you've got the ultimates to work with now. You've got the cage fight. You've got the overclock. You've got the coalescence to work with. Kane's only got a Kitsune Rush to work with. No defensive ultimate if Cammy wants to pop out this cage fight. And Phobic getting a disruptor shot. They may not even need to use it if they win out this fight automatically, although now you got the Kitsune Rush. Now there's the cage fight, and that's got everybody inside of it. This is so big for you, as that's going to find 1-2 kills. It's just the Mei and the Cryo Freeze left to go as everybody else starts to fall. The cage fight plus the Kitsune Rush. Well, Hell in the Cell lives up to its word.
Just like the words of Ryback, I mean, Manga really saying, feed me more. And with the cage fight, did just that. Staten Island now able to cap at least 3 minutes, 15 seconds left. So, Kate, plenty of time to be able to come back. Plenty of team fights, I imagine, left in the tank for them. Staten Island putting up a heavy defense. I mean, things are starting to get a little troubled waters.
Yeah, there's also the possibility right now that there is not a way to tie the time bank or go above the time bank unless Staten Island plays perfectly, and even then, it would be a really big ask. But here comes Graviton Surge. 4 people inside of that Graviton Surge. Such huge plays, but no ultimates to counter up with that. Agu doesn't use the Death Blossom there either just to try to counter that out. Now Agu would teleport into the back line. There's the Death Blossom all the way in your back. Agu takes care of Phobic, gets stomped on, and this time does go down yet again from Cammy to save it. But does Kane have enough in the tank to push this one all the way out? They've only got the Manga left to go here. Not a lot of heals to work with anyways. You do have Bioactive trying to save the life of Cammy. For what's one support, you could have had two. Only one support, except for the fact that Staten Island still has a fight to play.
It's the fact that the Death Blossom wasn't exactly missed. It just wasn't as effective. I mean, the Mei just immediately put up the ice, and then you had the Manga on the Cardiac Overdrive, and then everybody else came in, and you got stomped yourself. So I imagine Agu, sure, got 1 kill, and at least put Kane on by
Oh.
now Staten Island back from reset, I imagine. You have the Blizzard, you have the charge to find one, but it's taken down and out for themselves, and up from top it is going to be Phobic able to charge, and out with the Agu and Mei. Becomix going down.
That's toxic, Phobic. That's so toxic. You're just waiting for the Mei. Just
just watching,
uses Pop's
waiting.
overclock. Pop's overclock, mind you, does a little bit of damage. It's just waiting for Chung. It doesn't really have any targets to aim afterwards, so I do apologize maybe, but still just waiting for Becomix to come out of that entire cryo freeze just to get the headshots on. But now Kane does have 2 of the support ultimates available, but no damage ultimates anyway. Another cage right here in this corner, yes. No, actually no, doesn't use the cage right there. Does have the Kitsune Rush available, but Leon and Beans does have their damage to work with alongside of a Kitsune Rush to play along with. And now Og is in the back line. No Death Blossom, but not needed whatsoever. Does get 2 more kills, and this should be the fight win as it's a team wipe here, and Kane's going to add another 90.
Another 90 seconds on the board, I imagine. Even with Cammy coming in with the Malga cage fight, you just immediately countered out with Waffle Iron on the beat drop, and then Risper could just come in the background with the Moira ulti. So I imagine just 1, 2, 3 staggered all on top of each other. Next team fight possibly, or maybe if you are Cammy, I imagine you want to save that at least for the end should the conditions call for it. With the ice wall going down, with the barrier up on Agu as well, will not save the wait time or pressure. It's Phobic and Beans in with trades.
Yeah, Augur couldn't get a raid, doesn't have the Wraith form. Has a big Graviton Surge in the process. Oh, but the cage fight blocks all the damage. What a cage fight there from Cammy. It blocks all the damage that could have came in from that Graviton Surge, and instead, it's a lot of damage that's going to pour on here from Staten Island's Cammy, and Chung Yun to battle alongside of it. What a play from Cammy 101. He's a freshman, by the way, folks.
That's actually massive. I mean, Waffle had the beat drop, but it was Cammy. The ulti! That's ruined everything for you. And Kane, I imagine, not exactly the happiest campers about it. Slightly salty, I imagine so, but if you're a freshman pulling out plays like that, I mean, for Staten Island, might be a bright future ahead for themselves. Who knows?
Cammy 101 making this look like a 400 class right about now as you've got the Blizzard out. And that Blizzard's going to basically stave them away, so Chongyun's Blizzard goes basically for nothing. Although it does waste away maybe a little bit off the clock for right now, and now the conditions stand where Kane's got to make something happen here. They cannot end, even if they were to complete this map, if they have no time to play with. Staten Island, all they need is 1 tick to win, and that is a hard tick to try to defend off of. Agu, though, is able to find 3 kills in the process, thanks to a Death Blossom to start off for Chongyun, and how about just blasting away? It's going to be the Sojourn getting away just with their life, but what a play from Agu.
Into it. Sure, no ulti's up just yet. Bioactive, I imagine. The Kiriko Kitsune Rush would be active in just a couple of seconds, but for Kane, they just be able to counter in with the Blizzard and in with the Rush on top of that for Staten Island. So really on both sides, but now massive kills, especially if you are Staten Island with Phobic, Cammy, and Risper leading the charge.
Okay, so the good news if you're Kane is you still have time. Bad news, not a lot.
True.
And also good news for you, you still have your 2 ultimates on the board for the support-wise, as well as a Graviton Surge. Staten Island, though, comes up with a Coalescence and a cage fight. But that's, again, if they can touch, which they do. Now the Kitsune Rush is going to come out. Sound Barrier actually is only for Waffle Iron to just touch the point. Bioactive gets rid of Agu, and now it's the cage fight. Can't even get in unless you have to enter yourself. Ripster's able to get the Coalescence. Cammy getting the final blow. This is not going to do anything. The Graviton Surge gets the whole team, but what's a team when you're already dead? As Staten Island will find their second point, 3-2 here on Kings Road. They're 1 away from advancing on to play the #1 seed.
I am really hoping this isn't going to turn into a situation of a 3-0 sweep, but with as powerful as Staten Island is, and of course, the Malga Flex as well, has me thinking a little differently going into it. And that last team fight, I have to say, Coalescence is really putting things in perspective for the side of Kane.
Yep, I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting for Kane to try to bring this one back. You had Kings Row. This was... Obviously, in the playoffs here, you try to go for your comfort pick. You try to go with what you know. Lijiang Tower, obviously, is what Kane picked earlier as their map, as they were the home team. And then they pick Kings Row, a little bit more of a comfort pick. Now you go on to a push map here that could very well determine whether or not your season keeps going or your season ends, because they need to reverse sweep. Staten Island has 3 opportunities in match point right now. And this is going to be a tall hill to climb considering what Staten Island has brought. Yes, it's been close. 2-1, 3-2. It's not to say that Kane doesn't have a map point because they've scored 3 so far. But, I mean, getting through a Staten Island team that right now is just pushing your buttons, trying to just go ahead and go right at you with all the pressure that they're bringing on the attacking side. At least this time it's more of a neutral objective, right? Push. You've only got 3 maps to choose from. New Queen Street, Esperanza, as well as Coliseo. I mean, I don't know what you'd pick here. I mean, throw the curveball, maybe go New Queen Street.
If anything, and if I want to, if I have a chance of just taking us in a 3-0 sweep and I want to get under my opponent's skin, I'd say take Coliseo, right? Escort. Oh, it's going to be Escort?
It is going to be Escort, I believe, is what we've been told. So I thought it was Push. My apologies on that.
Yeah,
it
same.
is
Wow, you duped me. Wow.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I did dupe you because I went one map too farther down. Okay, so it is Escort. My apologies, folks.
Oh,
it is.
okay.
It is Escort. So Escort is. I thought it was Push, but Push is that's a
I was
different league
looking
that I'm
forward to
thinking of. My
Coliseo. I'm
apologies.
so
Yeah.
upset about
So we
that.
are going to Escort instead. My fault. But we will see the Escort map here. And I mean, as for Escort maps, dive really isn't a thing right now, I guess you could say, with this Malga thing. So it's probably not going to be, well, Dorado or Watchpoint Gibraltar. Who the heck knows? Circuit Royale is probably the one, or Route 66 maybe.
I'd say Circuit Royale, that is more of a comfort pick going into it for a lot of these collegiate, even high school teams, right? But then again, with Mong, I mean, sure, probably not as effective leading into it. I'd imagine you more than likely switch out for either Sigma. Maybe, gosh, I'm trying to think what would be controversial here. Or not controversial and not get me, picketed here. But Winston, if you squint, for some reason, and especially in a lot of my ranked closed lobbies, I've been seeing a lot more of him, weirdly enough. But it is going to be Route 66, it looks.
Yeah, so this is going to be Route 66 here. More Malga friendly, I guess you could say, if you're going to put it in any which way. Although you do have that little bit more of a high ground advantage, if you will, with that gas station if you want to play there. But around the corner, I know on this map a lot of sometimes what I have been seeing lately on this map, at least in my ranked games, and I won't point out my rank anyways, but Sigma has been somewhat of a concern here. Reinhardt's also been pulled out a lot as of late, and I don't know why, because Reinhardt gets countered out by a lot of things. So who knows? Probably it is. It's more Malga friendly here, and that's what Kane has decided to go for. So let's see what they decide to pull on. Maybe even a Doomfist. Who the heck knows? As to what Route 66 will provide for us. And in fact, no, it's going to be something completely different of what I've seen. Staten Island is going to pull out the Winston on the defensive end. And yes, Staten Island will side swap here, so Staten Island will get the defensive end first. And I think this is more or less because this is kind of a curveball, if you will, for Escort maps. You like the Circuit Royales, right? You like the one where you already know the composition. In Route 66, you have no idea. So Staten Island maybe strategically playing this defensive side first to see what the heck Kane is going to pull out. And they're going to pull something a little bit more mobile. They're going back to the first character they played, which was the Wrecking Ball of Leo Leon right now.
I will say with that Wrecking Ball, it's going to be a trouble in backline. Just able to side swap everybody in your side. Like I was mentioning earlier, talking about win definitely and with favorable if you're.
Yeah, so 3:30 on the clock now as they push them all the way back, and this Winston trying to jump up. Let's get a shield on Leo. Leon's actually able to get 2 player shields for right now. Agu, though, was able to get rid of Bioactive on the secondary railgun shots. So down 1 healer. Kane, I mean, for Staten Island, they still want to try to play this, but Cammy's got nowhere to back up. Ripster doesn't have a lot of healing to work with, and that's not even going to work out as Agu gets another secondary railgun shot at Kane. Looking pretty good here.
Now, on the side of Stat. Imagine might be time to change things up a little. Cammy Doomfisher close in Overwatch as Kane still sticking to their guns, able to put up by 1.520 on the clock and plenty of time to do so.
Yeah, 5:23 on that clock. A lot of good time used there by Staten Island. Pretty much only one fight won to get that first point. So Kane's looking like a little bit of a different team. They know they're Route 66 maybe, and that's a great slam and a great punch for 3. However, they're all able to get away. They're all so low. Agu Becomings and Waffle Iron are all so low. Phobic finally able to find one, but Becomings does trade one off. It's a trade fight left and right, but the bigger one is that both of the main healers are now down, which means it's down to the Lucio. Whose Lucio is better at healing and whose Lucio is able to kite them away for right now. It is Kane, though, on the attacking end, and that's because they have the better spawn rooms.
Kane on the attacking, Staten Island on the defensive, but kite away with Ripster. Able to get the heals just in time. I will say to Cammy with the punches and the Loudphobic get the initiative on the kill, but now trying to chase the Wrecking Ball out. Leo Leon narrowly getting away. But now
they're getting the Wrecking Ball. They're getting the Wrecking Ball and making sure that they're using cooldown, so now they can be a little bit more aggressive. Now you don't have to worry about a hack because they're hacking Leo Leon. They're using the punch because they're trying to punch out the Wrecking Ball at the same time. So Leo's there to just make it a little bit more of a distraction. And Kane, putting on the pressure right now. Yes, OW2 does go down after using the overclock, but you still have the mines that you could use right here on upper area if they decide to use it. And in fact, that's exactly what will happen. They'll use it to deter. And right now, the only person that's able to play this point is this Doomfist with the Meteor Strike, as well as the teleport with the Kitsune Rush alongside a Bioactive. So now they'll go ahead and use it. Coalescence used by Means, maybe just to try to keep this team up, but Becoming's also getting that kill. Really big, or rather Chongyun getting the kill note. Becoming's is really big. Don't got to worry about that damage anymore. Herbs are able to take care of OW2 on the final blow, and now it's just the Lucio and the Wrecking Ball left to go. Wrecking Ball 1v4 usually doesn't do anything here anyway, so it's going to be Kane that has to back off.
And from the high ground, Chongyun was able to get plenty of kills, and Cammy the same as well. But now, Kane going to find themselves at a little bit of a disadvantage. Staten Island would have overclock and then EMP up and readily available, so either push on the payload, I imagine, would just be as dangerous.
Well, 3 minutes on the clock. Kane has been in this position before, but they don't have any ultimates to work with. Staten Island's got 2. If you're Kane right now, your aim is to pull off both of the ultimates that are the EMP as well as the overclock. You're looking to pull out as many ults as you can here while trying to build up some of your own right now. And there's one of them. The EMP only gets Leo Leon, by the way, and Leo's going to go down for this. But wait, OW2 and Beans both getting their kills onto this, and Leo somehow staying alive is big. Bioactive does stay up onto Waffle Iron. Chongyun doesn't pull out the overclock, so it's only an EMP to maybe win this fight. I'm not even sure if you can say maybe, because Chongyun and Bioactive both going down is such a big play for you. Now, Rips is going to get slammed down on, does get killed. And for what it was, Kane having a try fight, they win the fight and they're going to get the second point.
Kane's able to best as possible. Now Staten Island, I mean, some gas left in the tank, but not as aggressive as I really hoped. Sure, on defense and with some advantage, but Kane with the Wrecking Ball has been more of an annoying menace than initially thought. And now with the Doomfist on top, I imagine, once again on a lot of these backline picks, but Leo Leon is going to deny that.
And a bigger thing too, Leo's coming up on the mines. Becomix has a duplication as well. Staten Island, you don't have that EMP anymore. You use that EMP only on Leo Leon just to get out, but nothing doing otherwise. So this is going to have to be a really big fight here for Staten Island, who's going to use the Meteor Strike to start us off from Cammy. And Phobic already down to half health, having him back away already. Kane does have the mines and the duplication available. Mines will be used already with a slam down at the same time. That's just going to force their backline either in or away. And that means that this is going to be a duplication gone from Chongyun. But at the same time, Leo, Waffle Iron, OW2 all finding their picks to Coalescence just to try to deter the Sommer for right now. Sommer's not going to be able to get away from that Coalescence at all. It's a team wipe, and Kane's in the home stretch.
Full team wipe, and now Kane with almost nothing in front of them to stop them. I mean, 2 minutes.
This ends now.
He really got taken out now, at least 1, maybe 2.5. They're going to be repeat ahead. The same going in with the Becomix with Chongyun on the overclock. Ulti finds another in the form of Waffle Iron with Majority Keen going down.
That's not bad though for Kane. If you're Kane though, you're only now worried about an EMP. Right, if you're alt tracking, you're only worried about an EMP right now. Kane's gonna have gonna have the sound barrier at least to try to counter that at the very least. So if you can get that EMP out before the sound barrier, Kane's got a good chance at winning another drive fight here, because that's what they've been good at so far. Let's see if they can do it though. So you're gonna have Leo already get hacked, Virus, and now has the shield down, and that's gonna force out the sound barrier. But Leo's gonna go down anyway, so that's such an unfortunate situation for you. Leo going in a little bit too deep and doesn't even need the EMP to be used at all in the process. And now this Echo is oh so low, trying to find the Echo at the same time. Virus doesn't hit, but Chongyun will hit, and down to less than 2 minutes on the clock. Kane using the sound barrier, but nothing comes out of it.
That's a tough one to try and come back from, like I was mentioning earlier. Sure, you have maybe 2 team fights left up your sleeve, but with it, it's aggressive. Staten Island was in that last push. I mean, might not be much of an opponent as he really revealed momentarily, but shouldn't be that much of an issue. It's over to Doomfist. Now gets hit for some damage. You find yourself hacked, and now big disadvantage in the side of Staten Island.
And that's a big EMP as well. Hits OW2 Becomix and Waffle Iron at the same token, and that's going to amount in a lot of kills. Big EMP and not a single other ultimate needing to be used other than a Meteor Strike. So you're going to have a couple of things up. You're going to have a Kitsune Rush. You're going to have a sound barrier at the same time. Kane's going to have to come up with something big here. They do have 3 ultimates coming up, but with 1 minute left, this is probably final fight territory.
like a overclock, and then rips on the side would be huge, but it's going to have to be the rush to really save you some time and trouble here. Kevin's getting in some health on the side with the duplicate, and now the beat drop from Staten Island. It's going to be a dive inward, and Keen overclock up and activated. Cammy finds one who going down.
So big here for Staten Island right now. They get rid of the overclock from Sean Yun, and now for Kane. Now 1.47 meters left to go in the 10-second mark. Chongyun's going to come back here. If this overclock pops off right now, and Chongyun's been hitting a lot of shots, Chongyun's going to be able to pop off for a lot here. Hits the headshot first on the Augur before Phobic's able to take care of that. 3 seconds left to go. Ripser and Phobic both finding their picks. And Chongyun coming back was so huge for them. Staten Island's able to turn it on at 10. 1.12 meters away. Kane is denied the full map. And Staten Island putting up the fence with just that much left to go. Basically a completed map to sweep and move on.
0-2. Switching sides.
Hard hitter point. Entirely close. I was almost certain that Kane was just going to be able to get that just sliver of meter coverage, and Staten Island in with the full map denial. Now at 0-2, have full opportunity to really just take this game and take the series away.
Oh man, you feel for Kane there. They had the opportunity to do so, and then the rest of the team just started to come back. Leo comes on with the Doomfist, or rather, I'm sorry, Cammy comes on with the Doomfist, just stays there for a little while just to help them out, and then Chongyun returning. You got rid of the big one. Chongyun on that overclock has been so deadly whenever they've got it, and so whenever... Oh man, you feel for the Cougars right now. Your season's on the line right there. You could have had a full map, guarantee you at least a second round of attacks if that happens. Instead, this could be it. This could be your season right now. They're going to try to defend this, and for Staten Island, again, this is the attacking side, so you never know what could get pulled out. But if Battle Cal comes out, I mean, somebody call up Chef Billy, because he's going to like what the Battle Cal is going to pull out here.
You know, I haven't talked to Billy in the longest time. I will just say, hi, Chef, been a minute. We really miss you, mwah, all of that and everything else. I mean, we'll say, cooking-wise, a lot of the stuff he posts on Twitter has honestly been looking really good as of late. Should probably ask for a sample. But other than that, Staten Island with the Orisa pick. One thing I really love to see and haven't really seen in a while, especially going into Route 66.
Yeah, so you're going to pull the Orisa out. You're also going to pull out the Tracer at the same time. Phobic's been really good on the Tracer so far in this entire series. And now this Orisa is just to counter out this Doomfist or the Wrecking Ball, essentially. But Cammy having to fall oh so low and having to get out of there already. And this just means that Agu's going to have a firing range as soon as they walk around the corner. So Cammy's going to have to relax for right now. And I like the aggressiveness from Kane. They're going to try to push them around this first corner, and they're not peeking out so much to do so, as Staten Island's not finding any shots. Phobic's not finding any way to play, only at 14% ultimate. Meanwhile, Kane's at 50, 32, 20% as well. Cammy, yes, having the bigger ultimates right, or bigger ultimate percentage right now, but that's not to say Kane's not putting on the pressure. This is something similar to what we saw on map 1 or map 2 on Kings Row, except the pressure's flipped here.
Same man for the Staten Island to gain more ground. That's not exactly the one thing you want to do, and it's going to be top priority to focus on Cammy with the Orisa, but now it's going to be Leon gets focused himself in with a headshot and a javelin with trade for trade, pick for pick on both sides of Kane and Staten Island. Payload stop for now, but I imagine next team fight is going to be just as brutal.
What a javelin on the Echo, by the way, mind you, from Cammy. That was so big to get that javelin onto Becomix, just to get that flying and aerial out, and that's from a character that cannot fly up into the air, mind you, so the javelin throw is your only chance at that. And so now, but that's a great defensive hold from Kane. They're looking pretty good here. Slime doesn't work for Leon, has to cancel that out right away. I mean, cooldown starts earlier if you do that. Anyways, 2 minutes and 20 on the clock. Does have the Terror Circ available. Coalescent, Sound Barrier, as well as a duplication on the side of Kane, also coming up on an overclock. Staten Island has 4, maybe 5 check marks on their own, depending on the situation. Cammy's falling also low, though. I don't even know if you get this off, but Cammy does. Cammy gets off a short Terror Surge, but still finds Leon in the process before Waffle Iron can even use the Sound Barrier. Coalescent, as well as the duplication, also mixed into the process. Phobic, though, gets a kill with the Pulse Bomb onto Augment. And I say Phobic wasn't building up the ultimate fast enough. Phobic's able to find 2 thanks to the Pulse Bomb, and 150 on the clock. Staten Island finally finds a push.
Good team fight, and I will say, sure, he kind of had the short Terra Surge inside of Cam, but was still able to nab you a solo kill and then transition that into the Javelin hit. Able to find yourself an Echo as well. Some massive stuff, especially if you are the Dolphins. And one more from Chongyun on the Leo, so no more Doomfist momentarily, and especially no more Waffle Iron and Agu, as Majority Kane just go down and out the Staten Island.
Okay, there was a 1% chance that Kane comes back into that thanks to the shield from Leo Leon for just a couple of moments there from that block. But other than that, that was a great play for Staten Island overall, just putting the pressure on and making sure that they get the second point. Now they've got 3 minutes and 40 seconds to work with. Maybe not as much time as Kane had on their first push, considering that Kane only had to win 1 fight. Staten Island maybe had to win 2 or 3 just to get to this point. So overall, Kane's wasting away the time, which is a nice thing for them. Now they got to put on the pressure a little bit more. You do have the Meteor Strike, but that's about it. Staten Island does have a Sound Barrier to work with. How about the Sound Barrier? Kane's got a pretty good shot at winning this. Well, that's the fact that unless Cammy can hit all of their Javelin throws, which onto this Lucio is going to be a really big problem for you, especially when Phobic does take care of that finally. Disruptor shot, though, does hit Cammy. And if you're going to talk about a trade, I think you'd rather take the tank than just the lonely Lucio for right now, and that's going to be including the case. Agu finds 3 before finally going down, though. What a play from Agu on the Soldier.
And a good play from Agu, of course, gets taken out by the Chongyun. We actually get the Echo, if anything, on the bombs, but still able to get at least 1 more kill on the board. And now Kane trying to drain the time a little further here. 2 minutes 49, so Staten Island have some time left still to try and win this as best as possible. And now with an Echo in your backline really being an annoyance, Beans now forced to push back and down outward.
Beans, you better count your lucky stars. 9 health, does not have to fade out in the open before finally finding the door and can walk right in. So Kane's lucky to still have their Moira alive, and that Moira might have just helped out. Agu does get the secondary railgun shot onto Phobic, and now it's going to be the duplication. Terra Surge is going to come out, and Cammy with a short Terra Surge again is able to find Agu thanks to the climb up from the Kitsune Rush at the same time. So is this going to amount to anything here for Staten Island? Because Kane still wants the duplication online, doesn't get the Terra Surge up. Chongyun's able to find Waffle Iron. They could still touch here if they get Leo Leon to touch. It's a little bit too far away, and Chongyun and Phobic finding their kills in the backline. This is going to be second point coming up for Staten Island.
In second point, it could very well be third point if Kane isn't easy enough or really dangerous enough on the gas. I will say is Bioactive with 1 more cheeky kunai pick on the Leo Leon. So Doomfist down and out momentarily as now Staten Island at full advantage. I mean, full gas left in the tank. Your Kane, though, 2 ultis up. I imagine it's going to be Coalescence and then Agu with the overclock to really put in some true damage. But then Staten Island could just easily counter with maybe a sneaky little pulse bomb, and it's going to have to be the beat drop to at least save you some time and effort in taking this damage.
The big thing here is you get rid of the Sound Barrier. Now you can play the Sound Barrier on your own if you really wanted to get aggressive with it. Waffle Iron still has it. Coalescence will come out at the same time. And now it's going to be a duplication from Chongyun on to the Moira instead, who could very well get up to a Coalescence considering how fast Moira charges up if you heal at the same time, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Only 3 seconds left to go. Coalescence will get pulled out here, but only for 1 second. That's enough, though, to make sure that Waffle Iron falls oh so low. Sound Barrier used, but Sound Barrier comes up with nothing for Kane whatsoever. Meteor Strike is going to come out. Is that going to find anything? No, it doesn't. Cammy getting that Javelin throw. We'll get it reset on the cooldown. Chongyun does get the focus beam out onto Beans at the same time. Now they're coming up on a drive fight here, but Kane's got nothing on the board. Staten Island's got 2 ultimates to use here coming up.
That would be 2 massive ultimates on top of that. I mean, Phobic could just really sneak in. That would be Pulse Bomb, really put a crimp in your day. And then Bioactive on the side of the Kitsune Rush. I mean, you're being pushed back all the way to spawn. What else can you really say is now Kane find himself massive disadvantage. I mean, in with the Kitsune Rush, and that should be in with some of the damage on the side of Staten Island as well. It is going to be duplication, and from the Doomfist in your backline, it's the beat drop, however, to me, a major counter. Bioactive and Chongyun in with double kill and another one on Becomix, almost. I mean, sure, no more Doomfist replicated just yet, but it's going to be the same for Waffle Iron going down to the headshot kunai kill, and now Kane finding himself in some troubled waters here, Key.
You just got to stall out here if you're Kane right now. You're just hoping that you can find out any picks right now. Cammy's finding the entire team, though. Cammy finds everybody. Staten Island's just going to rush this down. Less than a meter left to go until the golden box of victory is there. Can you stall out long enough for the rest of your team to come by? That answer is no. With 1:22 on the clock, Staten Island gets the golden box of victory from out of the closet. Staten Island survive and advance to move on inside of the playoffs.
Man, when it comes to facts and everything, a fact of life is that Staten Island showed some dominance here against Kane. Of course, Leo Leon got to give it up to them with the hamster plays. Some of them were cheeky, others were just as terrifying, as much as they were a menace into the backline for a lot of Staten Island support.
Yeah, overall, though, Kane putting up a good fight, but Staten Island and on another conference for you feature here on Esports U in the East Coast Conference, Staten Island looking like a threat in the ECAC. Now they're going to be moving on. Survive and advance, the name of the game here, and that's what it is in the 3-0 series. You move on now to play the number 1 seed overall in Fisher, so that's going to be a tough uphill challenge, but what a way to get some momentum going into next week. You fight off a loss that you had in the last regular season game before that bye, so you recover from the bye, and you get a 3-0 sweep overall. Well done by the Dolphins. Not to say overall, though, that Kane did have their fair share of great moments, 4-2 overall before falling here in the first round. So a great season for Kane overall. Cougars making another appearance here in the playoffs in the ECAC. But, I'm sorry. Actually, I did get the bracket wrong. They will play Illinois Wesleyan instead of Fisher. My apologies there. So they will play IWU coming up in the next round as well. Still the number 1 seed overall, and I believe a very familiar opponent for Staten Island at the same time, who they lost 0-3 earlier on in the season as well. So, Ash, before we wrap things up here, I mean, any final words, or rather what you look to see here in the rest of the playoffs come ECAC time?
What I am looking forward to seeing in the rest of the playoffs, I am really hoping a lot of these meta picks and comps in general just get a little more experimental. Because sure, some own goats matter, or I've like to call it some moats now, name pending, copyright there. As I wouldn't exactly say stale, but it is kind of interesting to see that where there's one manga, there's always another to follow, usually in those picks. And you know what? Yeah, we might have to change things up just slightly so. That's my word on it.
Well, I mean, who knows? April 16th is the day we're looking for. The playoffs
True.
might finish before that April 16th deadline anyways. So, yeah, we might not be able to see Venture come out. Well, we won't be able to see Venture come out anyways. It would be 2 weeks before then. So who knows what the patch notes are going to come out with. We do know that no patch notes are probably coming out until the Season 10 comes out anyway. So let's find out what these teams are made of coming up during this entire rest of the playoffs, as they know their patch notes and they know the rest of it. So with that being said, that will start to wrap us up. So we want to say a big shout out to everybody for watching. And of course, thanks goes out to our observer Cole Scoots, as well as our producer, Professor Layton, back in the Esports U studios. And for my partner, Asher Vach, we bid you farewell one more time. Your final score, Kane Cougars and Staten Island Dolphins. Staten Island brings out the broom in the closet 3-0. They will play the number 1 seed overall in Illinois Wesleyan come next week for the Elite 8 here in the ECAC playoffs. And so until tomorrow, when we have a few more games to watch out for, CECC Last Chance Qualifier with Super Smash Brothers Bracket 1 and Bracket 2 finals. You don't want to miss out on that at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't miss out on that. But until tomorrow here for some CECC action, we say have a good rest of your night as you've been watching another edition of the ECAC right here on Esports U.